welcome to OTIA TV. I'm Ersin at AYTEN. Today, we are joined by Neslişah YILMAZ HİDAYETOґlu, the creative director of Barus London, a brand that stands out in Turkey with its design power and has also made a name for itself in London. We will discuss the creative thinking behind her collections, how she blends culture with modern design, her approach to sustainability, and her views on Turkey's journey in global fashion. Yes, Miss Neslişah. Could you tell us a little about yourself?
Hello, I am Neslişah YILMAZ HİDAYETOґlu. I am the founder and creative director of the brand bar Rusland. I received my formal education in fashion design at Marmara University. My master's degree, also at Marmara University, was in nanotechnological designs. About 10 years ago, we established the Bar Rus brand, and last year we celebrated our 10th anniversary. We celebrated our 10th year. This year marks our 11th. We are in our 11th year. We are a brand that focuses mainly on women's clothing. We put down our roots in Istanbul, and afterwards, we moved to London. Right now, we go back and forth between the two countries.
That's why the name is now Barus London.
Yes.
So, what were the chances for a Turkish brand to succeed in London, and what did you see?
Actually, it's a bit more difficult now. Our advantage was that when we first established the brand 10 years ago, social media wasn't as polluted as it is now, and what you did was visible. At that time, we were constantly sharing our products and the brand on social media, and someone from the London Fashion Week committee, it caught their attention and they reached out to us. During our Zoom meetings, they said they wanted to see us in person and also see the products. Afterwards, we met in London and received positive feedback from their quality control team. In other words, they told us that our quality was good enough to be showcased at the London Fashion Week runway. And after that, before we even finished recording one of our videos, we had our first runway show at London Fashion Week. Of course, at that time, everything was a bit more visible, and that was our stroke of luck. Being in London had always been our dream. In fact, we didn't set out on this journey to be a brand confined within the borders of Turkey. We had created it with a more global vision. It's just that this communication accelerated even more through social media. And, you know, London is the center of finance, the center of fashion, a place that stands out among the capitals of many countries. Therefore, they are hungry for new designs, for anything that is new. Establishing and building the brand there allowed us to move forward much more quickly.
And besides, London is in a different position from other European countries. You know, since it's not part of those unions, it has its own culture. Therefore, that unique culture is also suitable for you. They were able to accept the things you saw fit and designed for them. This is actually a huge advantage.
Absolutely. And there's always this thing at fashion weeks. Paris, you know, Paris Fashion Week is a bit more conservative. In Milan, menswear is a bit stronger. It's hard to break in there as a women's brand. In New York, because of the distances, operations are difficult and they're more active in the streetwear segment. It's the gateway for a new Turkish brand to open up to the world. For me, this turned out positively. It was London. I think London should be the main gateway for other brands as well.
At the time or right now?
Always.
So London is open then. Maybe
Right now, it might be a bit more challenging. For example, the path I took in 10 years. Friends who are just starting out now, or those who are a bit further along, might take a longer time to cover the same distance. Our advantage was that we went when there was no one else, and we were constantly doing things there. We still are. That allowed us to make rapid progress, but I still think it's one of the gateways for a Turkish brand to open up to the world. London.
So then, our Osman Bey tradesmen who are watching this broadcast might also want to consider London. Of course, when I did a bit of research on you again, I know that you deal with technical things. During your internship, you signed off on some very serious projects, and if I'm not mistaken, you even have a project approved by TÜBİTAK.
That was my master's thesis. I made a heated jacket by using the conductivity of carbon fibers. Back then, about 10 to 12 years ago, there wasn't much literature on the subject. And in similar jackets that were made, they were always designed with a logic similar to solar panels. But no one had used carbon fiber.
Back then, it was stored previously. Yes.
Exactly. It was a project related to the conductivity and heat retention capacity of these carbon fibers. It turned out well, but it took a lot of time. Also the lack of literature, you know. For about 3 years, we were constantly in the lab. The fibers kept burning, and we were trying to prevent them from burning. It was a tough process and all that, but it was enjoyable. This was my master's thesis. I developed a UV protective and responsive fabric approved by TÜBİTAK. I participated in the technical textiles competition organized by İSKİBİ with it. It was something prepared specifically for that competition. I made it to the finals, then I got its patent. After that, TÜBİTAK awarded it bronze. It was deemed worthy of a bronze medal, and I was recognized as one of the top 5 women entrepreneurs. In 2016,
In one of your interviews, you said something like this. I was doing an internship. You said you were going to 3 different places a day. To be honest, this really caught my attention. Did any of the things you did lead anywhere? In your work, in the things you do under the Barus brand, is there anything like that?
actually, I did those internships specifically related to where I wanted to be in my professional life. As you know, the textile industry is a vast ocean. You can be on the fabric side, the fiber side, or the yarn side of it, design or clothing like I'm doing now. Actually, I experienced all of these stages, and then I said to myself, this is the point where I should be. And the success I've achieved now is actually because I'm doing a job I consciously chose.
And
I do it with love. So it doesn't really feel like work to me. It's almost like I'm doing my hobby. It might sound like a cliche, but I can say that I studied for this and now I'm doing my hobby. So thanks to that, we've been able to move forward so quickly.
you move towards what you enjoy. That's wonderful. So, what practices do you use to implement sustainability in your brand?
Up until the pandemic period, we were using regular fabrics until then. But during the pandemic, with the processes we went through and the state the world was in, we started to use more recycled fabrics. Since 2020, about 70% to 80% of our collections, as much as technically possible, have been made from recycled fabrics. The same goes for the shows we've done at London Fashion Week. Because London places great importance on recycling and climate change, they really value this. They show a lot of appreciation for these kinds of products and materials. So yes, we also embrace this. We like our sensitive side.
When you think about it, in a certain sense, that's also why they protect you even more.
Exactly.
Barus actually has its own style. Is this style your own style? Or are you adapting your sporty chic designs to Barus?
I can say it's a mix of both. I like to be more comfortable at work because, we don't just sit at a desk, sketch, and then hand things off to the team for pattern making or sewing. I'm very hyperactive. I prefer comfortable clothes, but the women I create for are a bit more geared towards special occasions. Women who are more elegant, more self-confident, have a certain class, and look sophisticated. So when you combine the two, nothing that's truly beautiful is ever really comfortable, like high heels. So in that case, comfort takes a back seat and elegance comes to the forefront. At the very least,
if our shoes are uncomfortable, let our dress be comfortable.
exactly, that's the kind of transformation we're going through. After all, it's not possible for a woman to always be elegant and coquettish.
Super.
So we prepare them for their special nights in the best way possible.
To look beautiful. My friend, some people strive to look beautiful while others strive to make themselves appear beautiful. You are present on both sides.
Both sides, exactly.
If you think about it, it's actually a big deal to become a global company and to emerge from Turkey. What was your motivation when founding Barus London?
So I have my own business environment. Therefore, when we came together, we said that our market shouldn't be limited to just Turkey. He is also someone who is very experienced in the fields of large corporations and branding. So at Galatasaray University, he always teaches courses on branding in the graduate program. That's actually my advantage. Let's create such a brand, but let's not keep it within the borders of Turkey. In other words, let's sell abroad and establish ourselves as a Turkish brand. We set out with the idea of not only producing textiles as contract manufacturing, but also promoting the quality of our textiles to the whole world in the name of branding. Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, social media and London Fashion Week really accelerated all our steps. And up until today, even though there have been some delays and changes, we've achieved all the goals we've set. Even so, we've accomplished them.
Generally, we're always on the inside. We're always on the back end in the kitchen, so to speak. In other words, we're usually not the ones in service or marketing, or the people who make this business what it is are not usually us. Actually, this has been your biggest advantage. You've put in effort both internally and externally, but somehow you've managed to get somewhere. In design, is it originality or usability? For you?
Well, both are important. From a brand perspective, we're already in London because we're original. But at the same time, our quality continues in a sustainable way, fabric, tailoring, etc. And at the same time, the woman wearing it feels both comfortable and stylish. That's why it can progress there for 10 years.
Isn't that the hardest thing? Because it's about keeping both together.
Of course, absolutely. But no one wants to buy something that's not original anymore anyway. They don't want to. When we enter a place, even men are now paying more attention to how they dress. You want to stand out too. Even if it's just a simple black jacket you're wearing, with its cut, its fit, the way the fabric falls, and when it comes to women's variations, we are almost forced to be original. Now, since we're in the era of social media, it's so easy to tell whether something is a copy, an inspiration, or an outright imitation. It's something that becomes apparent very easily. Maybe in London, because it's a much more global environment, you have the chance to do that. No, you can't take that risk. There for 10 years already. You're there because you're original, and with a single mistake,
With something simple,
if you show that, it would already be enough to erase you.
especially in a place like London. Yes. How do you see Turkey's current expansion into foreign markets? I'm saying this for Turkish brands.
I think the main theme of our conversation should now be branding. I mean, your chances of getting somewhere by doing contract manufacturing or white label production are pretty slim. Quality, yes, that's a given, but we've long surpassed the point where branding is also a must. We should have started much earlier. While most of the world's major companies have their production done in Turkey, if we had been able to incorporate this branding system into our lives, maybe right now the textile industry might not be in this situation.
Many brands buy products from Turkey and sell them. They all say made in Turkey on them. And while the companies that can meet those specifications are present here, they can't create their own brands.
Actually, let's think about it this way. If this operation is 50% difficult, then branding is also 50% difficult. But you've already accomplished and finished half of it.
That's the key part.
Exactly. And since you're already producing, you have a flow of money coming in. Let's say from that cash flow, if you put half or even 20% of it into branding, because branding is not something that can happen overnight. If only they could gradually establish that system and bring their own products to the international market. Because people in the textile industry are always following trade fairs and improving themselves. If they had placed products from their own brands at those events, I think the situation of the textile industry could be much better right now.
Instead of sticking to a single point, if they had gone to other fairs with different products while producing, they could have created their own brands.
So what would have happened in that case? You know, instead of relying on a word from a person or a country, what happened now? There are established systems, there are companies that produce certain products. When they say, we're working with you, they work with you. But when they say, we're working with another country, they shift over there. So you end up with nothing to do. But if they had created their own brand in such a situation, no one would be left idle now. They would still be making, will be making, and marketing their own products.
It will happen. You are making them give it. What is the message you want to convey? Here.
When we were establishing Barusu, we had only one goal. It was to bring something from our own culture there, because in terms of design, the world is already saturated with everything. We thought that if we brought something different there, something they weren't used to, they would respond to it in a different way. For example, in our first fashion show, we focused on the art of marbling. It was held at the Bursa Institute of Maturation. And when we presented it to a few experts in fashion as we were leaving, I mean, if very traditional marbling just remained as a hanging piece, as a painting, I felt a bit uneasy about it, but there was no time to renew the collection again. In such a way, we went. A few days later, there was one of the most important award ceremonies there. On the red carpet, we had made 28 pieces. 25 of them were taken by the stylist there to be dressed on celebrities, and one of them was a Game of Thrones actor. On the red carpet, the marbling art that we consider traditional was on a Game of Thrones actor. And I realized how right what we were doing actually was. Yes, there are certain frameworks. Arts that seem very classic, that seem very traditional, can sometimes become more modern with just a touch. They can transform into something different. So this was the first example I could share. In all the fashion shows we do, we always make sure to bring something from here. For example, sometimes we bring the art of tel kırma. The last fashion show we did, for instance, was inspired by Istanbul. Previously, it was Ephesus. We wanted it to evolve into something that would also boost tourism a bit and allow us to act as voluntary tourism ambassadors, because our influence on fashion in London and around the world is actually quite significant. Therefore, for me, it's a duty to showcase our country and its best aspects. So think of this both in terms of textiles and in terms of tourism. I enjoy promoting elements from my own culture as much as possible. And up until now, this has always been well received.
So there was a great development at the last London Fashion Week. Could you tell us about it?
At the last London Fashion Week, we had 2 ladies from the royal family walk in our show. One of them was King Charles's cousin, And one of them, Lady Victoria Harvey, walked in a dress that glowed in the dark and reflected light. There, I wanted to show that we have some unique ideas and production in nanotechnology as well to our audience, to our followers, and it was very well received. So it's not just about classic textile production in Turkey. It was a great platform to say, well, we are also present in nanotechnology.
This is a very good step both for Turkey and for the Barış brand. In a previous interview, you mentioned that there was someone from the royal family you especially wanted to dress.
Kate Middleton.
Is that still the case?
Right now, their internal system has changed a bit. Her stylist has changed. So I still really want to dress her. She's at the top of the list of people I most want to dress. We're working on it, and hopefully one day we'll see it happen.
There are certain periods for Osman Bey. I mean, there are times when people from certain nationalities come more frequently. Osman Bey's shopkeepers change their displays. They shift them in that direction. They shift towards products that people from that country would like. Now, when you go to London, you take Ebru with you. You're not actually becoming local there. You're bringing a piece of here over there. But the people who see and comment on your project seem like people who accept becoming local. I mean, if you had done things unique to London or like London or similar to London, you might not have received this much attention and interest. This has been a huge stroke of luck.
I mean, it's actually a very simple math. You know, everything in textiles is a kind of math. When you look at it, I think it's about reading the country correctly, reading the market correctly. Now, if I wanted to be like them and made products in that style, my area of competition there would be broad. I mean, it would be very hard for me to stand out among them, and I would just fade away.
Some already existed.
Yes. I mean, you know, when you say London, it's already a place where all the brands, all the luxury brands are present and do crazy marketing. So you have to bring something different there so that people can distinguish why they should choose you.
So what did the Nişantaşı office add to your brand?
When you think of Nişantaşı as Turkey and consider the places where brands are located, of course, Nişantaşı comes to mind first.
Because many brands' Turkish branches start with Nişantaşı.
Absolutely. It's definitely like that. The perception of fashion there, the fact that fashion lovers, editors, stylists, or even a tourist who wants to shop,
when they check their calendar,
the first place they mention is Nişantaşı. Therefore, having a showroom there is a huge deal for us. It's a big advantage. Also, there really aren't many locations where people can buy these kinds of products. So, for example, downstairs, when someone enters the store downstairs, they see me too, and they can come into my store as well. So being in Nişantaşı, which is a spot with heavy foot traffic, makes us happy.
It's a nice thing. So when people are researching something and see Barış, London and Nişantaşı, they realize it's available here too. Actually, you need a separate visa to go to London. But people from Turkey or other countries can come to Turkey with a Schengen visa, just like they would go to any European country. So many people who can't get to London end up coming to Turkey.
Exactly.
That's a huge advantage.
As I always say, born in Istanbul. As a brand born in Turkey, if we're going to have a branch here, it should definitely be in Nişantaşı. That's why we're in Istanbul. All of our production, as I always say, and I say this proudly to the foreign press as well, all of our production is done here. It's all made in Turkey. When we look at the percentage of traffic coming to Turkey, probably about 70% of it passes through Istanbul. So that creates a great gateway for us.
Now there are terms like fast fashion and slow fashion. How is this balance maintained in your brand? How do you achieve it? Or how do you preserve this balance?
The area we work in, the service we provide actually helps us maintain that balance, because what you call fast fashion is a bit more like we all post photos on social media, and once something is seen, we feel like it's already old. We want to wear something new. This constantly puts people in a situation that pushes them toward constant consumption. But a certain part of our wardrobe has become classic. For example, a suit you can wear without thinking, whether you're going somewhere special or to a meeting, something that makes you feel good. There also needs to be a section for a dress or an outfit like that. We're talking about that part of the wardrobe that's become classic, not classic in terms of design, but suits made from good fabric and tailored with a good cut.
It feels brand new each time you wear it.
Exactly, because the fabric and the cut are so good, it fits perfectly, almost like it's sculpted. When you wear it, and especially if you add a couple of colors or accessorize, it can completely transform into something else. People who wear it and those who see it on you immediately notice that this isn't something you find in ready to wear. It's all about the fit, how it sits on the body. And in the other part, especially for us, Since we cater to special occasions, the models are tailored to the individual's measurements and reflect their style, so it's like a dedicated space in the wardrobe. It's actually a section that opens up. We step in where ready-to-wear can't be found or where it can't or doesn't produce. I always say with good fabric, a good pattern, and good tailoring, these become timeless pieces in your wardrobe, and they're products for which you won't look for a second or third alternative or option. That's what happens. And actually this too,
It becomes an important piece, and if you look at it, the fabrics that lead fashion, sometimes the patterns can remain fixed.
they become the key pieces in your wardrobe. If you want, you can combine it with a basic t-shirt or with pieces from fast fashion. Or you can wear it with its timeless look, and that becomes the expression of what we call quiet luxury.
So how do accessories influence your decisions when it comes to design? As you just mentioned, while pieces sit in your wardrobe, you can update them with accessories. Do accessories have an impact on your designs as well? Or how significant is that impact?
Absolutely. If it's basic, we have suit jackets whose patterns and stitching we really like and which are also loved by our customers. You can combine them however you like. If you wear a pair of heels, you can attend an elegant event. But if you wear them with ballet flats, you can also attend your daily meetings. You can make it more casual with a scarf. With a shiny accessory, a bejeweled necklace, or statement earrings, you can make it even more elegant and suitable for the evening. Actually,
Ballet flats and a scarf when leaving the house.
exactly.
When you go out to dinner, you switch to heels. I mean, that's the shell. Exactly.
That's right. So you can handle both parts in a single day with a block heel.
From what we understand, London is already strong enough as it is. That's what my research shows as well. So it's not just you saying this, I'm saying it too. So is the brand only in London? So is it going to stay there?
Expanding to other countries is a bit of an operational challenge.
Since no one else has come yet, should we just stay in London?
Well, actually, that's not the case. We sell worldwide through our website. The reason we're physically based in London is actually to strengthen our presence there. I think we've managed to do this over the past 10 years. I think there's still a bit more time for that. For staying in London, I mean, because, production, entering a new market, adapting the molds accordingly, checking whether the market is suitable in terms of design, producing and shipping to that side, selling in the right locations, and handling the necessary PR and marketing, these all need to be done. As I said, that's all part of the operation. Instead of attacking everywhere and failing, instead of spreading ourselves too thin, we think it's better to focus on one spot, strengthen it, and then look at other locations afterwards. That's what we believe.
Now that you're based in London, London Fashion Weeks are basically your responsibility. So for example, you're more comfortable at London Fashion Week now, right? At the same time, it also helps the brand grow. Because as more people watch, they get to know the brand. And now people in Europe have started talking about it too. The impact of this on the brand.
Actually, this is the case all over the world. The same things apply. Consistency, sustainability. If we hadn't gone a second time, or if we had just dropped by occasionally, if we had only revived the network there during London Fashion Weeks, this effect still wouldn't have happened. Because we put on a show every 6 months, every year, and because we do it there, spending money, spending time, we've now become one of them. We've managed to break some of their prejudices. At first it was like, okay, yes, you came. They looked at it as if you might do 1 season, maybe 2, and then not come back. But we've been doing this consistently for 10 years. Because we've kept pushing, because we've kept those relationships alive, we're now one of them. And when you look at it worldwide, there's a fashion week circuit that includes New York, Paris, Milan, London, and Tokyo. And these are actually the key points that everyone interested in fashion and the entire fashion press follow. What we do there isn't just about London, the others are coming as well. Are we suitable for their market or not? Is it about product quality, or maybe it's a door opening for a future collaboration? So that the network there is one you can't find anywhere else, not even in person. That's why continuity and sustainability are so important for branding.
It adds value to the brand with each passing year. In fact, social media has a huge impact on the growth of the brand.
Absolutely.
Or rather, before social media became polluted, as you put it. By the way, that's a really nice way to put it. There didn't used to be this much sharing before. When people looked at certain things, they would always see the same images over and over, or the same brands were being promoted by social media. Nowadays, there are also influencers. How do you get support from them?
From the very beginning of the brand, we've always used celebrities and influencers. We gave products to TV series so the brand would be seen on television and become recognized. You can reach a certain audience on Instagram, but on television you can reach much larger audiences. Actually, we've used all these systems. So in the growth of the brand, there were also these kinds of marketing strategies involved. We're trying to use them much less now and to make more careful selections so that nothing wrong affects the brand's perception.
Because there is pollution there too.
As we all know, sometimes the people we admire and follow so closely don't have that much influence. So you might be introducing the wrong product to the wrong audience, because our main goal is to showcase the product to the target audience and make a sale, but he's not the right person because his followers might not be your target audience. So not everyone with a high number of likes or even those are genuine. Just because someone has followers doesn't mean they'll sell your product or that your product will reach a certain audience. You will showcase it. That's not necessarily the case. These didn't exist before. Like when we dress someone.
They met the right audience.
Yes. When we dressed someone, when someone posted and tagged us, that same evening, a lot of people would ask for prices and sales would be made. Even if that didn't happen, we would get hundreds of new followers in just one night. Now, even if you give your product to someone with millions of followers, people are because so much content is being produced.
Unseen.
Exactly.
It disappears quickly. The authenticity of the followers and so on is also a big problem. As we come to the end of the program, I have a question for you. Of course. Now, when I first heard about your brand, I mean a woman entrepreneur creating a brand, why did I specifically focus on Barus? Because when I heard the word Barus, honestly, yes, it does sound striking, bold, but
masculine.
It sounds masculine. Now that I've heard the story, I thought probably there will be 7 stores, or it needs to be in 7 locations. Because in stories with elephants, the number 7 is very important. Elephant and 7.
We actually never thought about this. Our perspective never shifted in that direction. So Barus means elephant in Latin, and Barus was used in Latin for the first 500 years. Then it was changed to elephantus. It's actually not a word that's used anymore. For us, since we always say it's a matter of luck or fate, yes, Barus is nice. And when you look at it, like this, it's very strong, memorable. The double R makes it emphatic, so it's easier for people to remember. Double R and all that. That's how we chose Barus. Having a story, even having a story in the brand name itself, affects everyone. In fact, we had a customer. He was a professor at the university in the Department of Latin Language and Literature. He said to me, Barus, where did you find this word? As a professor in this field, even if I thought about it, if I spent time on it, I would say elephantus. The fact that people create such beautiful stories also made us feel that we made the right choice. But there are also many people who think like you, more like that. The perception of a men's brand. I think that's not a bad thing. It's nice to project that strong dynamic image of a man. Maybe one day we'll enter the men's market too.
Hopefully we'll get a small piece of the pie from here then. We had a wonderful conversation. It flowed like water. Thank you so much for coming. It's very enjoyable. If there's anything else you'd like to say that I might have missed.
Seemed enjoyable.
Okay, thank you very much then, Mrs. Neslişah. We have come to the end of our conversation with Neslişah Hanım. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.